And we are now live. My camera broke, as you guys can see on YouTube, but it's all good. Whipped out the old webcam, and we're ready to go. We're here to talk about The Last Dance, 96 Chicago Bulls documentary. Episodes 5 and 6 is fresh. We just got done watching it. What were your first thoughts? What was the big things from these episodes, Mike?
Well, I think episode 5 was largely about their experience at the '92 Dream Team in Barcelona, where Michael and the team become, basically global superstars, and basketball is all everyone's talking about. Yeah, it was really good to see them competing. They showed that practice in Monte Carlo where they were just going at it. Magic Johnson, he wasn't ready to give up the crown as the king of the NBA, but then Michael just proved that he was the alpha dog on the team, and that went down as one of the most intense practices of all time. They said so. It was really cool to see them in that environment.
Yeah, so right now I got a picture on the YouTube with Isaiah Thomas and Michael Jordan, and pretty sure you know a lot of people tweeted the the Ron Isaiah Thomas from the previous episode. He's like, why is everyone tweeting at me like that I didn't shake Jordan's hand or whatever? And it's pretty significant that he didn't make the dream team, but I guess everybody kind of hated the Pistons, hated Isaiah.
Well, it is kind of weird that he didn't make it, but Christian Leitner did make it. I think that's what he. If I was him, I'd be
For
really
the
upset.
younger audience, tell us who Christian Leitner is. For those that
So
don't know.
Christian Leitner at the time was in college. He was the only college player on the Dream Team, but he was the best player at Duke University, who just came off a national championship under Coach K. So he was the lone college player picked to be on the team, and he basically never played and did anything. So obviously Isaiah Thomas would have been a more impactful player. But as Jordan says in the Last Dance, the harmony would have been disrupted because everyone had beef with Isaiah at the time, just because the Bad Boys teams were so hated by everyone around the league.
One thing we didn't discuss last episode that we felt bad about for the podcast was the handshake. And what's funny is that I actually won an internet argument. And you know how internet arguments go, like 90% of the time, nobody ever wins because people just talk and talk and then they just go, like, they just stop. But so this one guy, like, it was actually someone else's post. Someone was like, whose side do you take? The Bulls or the Pistons, when the Pistons didn't shake their hands after losing. So the Pistons won 2 championships. Then the third one, when the Bulls won, the Pistons didn't shake the Bulls' hands. And I was like, the only people that are gonna side with the Pistons works at General Motors or Ford. Just a witty way of saying, only Detroit people's going to side with the
Yeah.
Pistons. This one guy's like, no, like, no. He's like, I'm from California and I side with the Pistons. That's what they get for crying. And so essentially, how I won the internet argument was I was like, well, the Pistons didn't shake the Bulls' hands because the Bulls were whining, because the Bulls were quote unquote whining the previous 2 times, but they still shook their hands. The reason they didn't shake their hands was because they got whooped. That's why. Because we already seen them. They shook their hands when they won. But he didn't. And I thought that was I think that's mad disrespect and just not good sportsmanship. That's just highly not, part of my ethics, just how I roll. I would never do that. I would show respect, especially when you crush Jordan and the Bulls 2 times in a row. You got no excuse for not shaking their hands, because they deserve that win and they got the dub. So I'm definitely siding with the Bulls side. It's not really picking a side, but that was a dumb social media post anyway. But yeah, I don't like that they didn't shake their hands. But it is what it is. Move on. But I'd say no. I'd say it was wrong.
Isaiah, he tried to justify it. He said that the reason why they didn't shake their hands was because he thought that they would be back, again the next year. So it wasn't over, but he didn't realize that their time, that was the closing of their window, essentially, and that the Jordan Bulls were going to be the dominant team of the '90s. It was hard for him to accept, though.
Yeah, I mean that's not really I don't even think that's an explanation, let alone an excuse. Just because you have an idea of where you're gonna be next year doesn't mean you don't just shake the championship's hand. It's bad sportsmanship. Is bad sportsmanship. But from the Bulls side, hey, you guys just won a championship. It's all good. On to the next one. We hurt their feelings. And then we're gonna be the new dynasty. What else? What else from this episode? Episodes 5 and
Well, we got to
6.
see. Well, I mean, as a lot of you know, in the beginning part of it, they showed a young Kobe coming into his second year in the NBA. He was the talk of the league at this point. And the All Star game was in New York at Madison Square Garden, and it just shows like really great footage behind the scenes in the locker room of the Eastern Conference, team with Jordan talking about Kobe, how he's so young and athletic, and he's a killer basically, and then they show him passing by in the on the way to the court, and it was just really good to see that kind of like passing the torch and mutual respect that Jordan had for Kobe even at that young age, and that Kobe wasn't afraid to go at Michael Jordan, who was his idol, and he went at him toe to toe, and it was one of the greatest All-Star games of all time, I think.
So we thought they'd have more in there. Now Kobe recently died in a helicopter crash. R.I.P. But is that that obviously had to have some kind of, they thought about that. So what do you think that impacted the time? Do you think they would have put him in more? They would have interviewed him more, or like what? I mean, what is that? How do you think that worked out with the timeline with his death?
I'm not sure exactly. I mean, yeah, I thought he'd be in it more, but I guess basically they just put him there to show that the impact that Jordan had on Kobe, because they showed him that was one of his last in-person interviews in that documentary. So it shows him, like about like a year ago probably, and he just says that if it wasn't for Michael Jordan, there would be no Kobe. So he's basically saying like,
He's
yeah, like
basically
the
citing,
impact that
he
Michael Jordan did.
basically citing our podcast.
Yes, exactly.
uh,
Yeah.
and then but is this bad if I skip forward? But we finally started the gambling talks, and then his dad at Atlantic
Well, that's
City.
in episode 6. We should still probably. Well, we didn't talk about also like the shoe deal. They talked about
Oh,
that
shoe deal
briefly.
was, yeah, it was huge.
Yeah. So like Converse was the number one shoe company at the time with Magic, Larry, all those greats. But then Jordan comes in the league, and they didn't want him on Converse because I guess those guys were the face of Converse. So they're like, okay, let's try give Nike a chance. But Nike didn't even, or Jordan didn't like Nike. He wanted to go to Adidas at the time, but they weren't offering him a great deal. So he has a new agent, David Falk, who convinces his mother, Dolores Jordan, who's very business savvy, that he should, listen to Nike. And Jordan initially didn't want to listen, didn't want to take the meeting in Oregon, but he decides to go because basically his mom makes him. And then the rest is history. They offer him, he was a rookie at the time. Most rookies at that time were getting offered $100,000 for a shoe deal. They offered him, I believe, 250,000. So that's a huge, jump for an unproven rookie at that time. And they come out with the Air Jordan 1, and yeah, the rest is
Let's get
history, as they
into
say.
a big topic here. When somebody told me a while ago, like, he was just very mad at Michael Jordan. I think it was unwarranted, and I'm just gonna express his views on what he told me. And it's like, all these people that are lining up and jacking people and killing them for their shoes, and Michael Jordan hasn't really said anything. And I see both sides to that. It's like, he's not, that's not in his DNA. He's not, maybe like, like Jay-Z, he puts himself in front of the business, he thinks more business like. And MJ, just, he's kind of just like, he just wants to do his own thing, stay in his own lane. He never makes political or he never really takes stances, and so he's never done anything, it seemed like. And we've seen that criticism come out in these episodes a little bit when they talked about the politician, and then the shoes. And so, no, I mean, I understand both sides of it, that the shoe is epic. It's just I don't know, man. It's kind of annoying that all these people, lining up and people getting jacked and killing themselves. And I've never heard him make any statement or say anything. And I know that's high expectations. That's expecting someone to do something he doesn't have to. Um, but it's like, what has that shoe? I mean, like, can we really say the shoe is good? Like, what's? I mean, it's
It's a
just
status symbol. I mean,
it's the most
people in the inner
overhyped.
cities.
Like, I love how they showed the scene from that Spike Lee movie because that's like the only scene that I know like
Oh
so well.
yeah,
It's so corny, and
yeah.
I think that's
Do
Gus.
the right
That
thing
yeah,
from Do
I
the Right
think that's
Thing.
Gus Fring, bro, from Breaking Bad, who gets his Nike
No, it's
stepped
not.
on.
It's
I
not.
looked it
That's
up. I think I think that's him.
no, it's not.
It's
I
not.
know it for sure. It's not.
Oh, it's not.
No, it's not.
I looked it up, and I think we got the movies
That
configured.
was Radio Raheem, but yeah, that's not the same
It's
guy.
not the
But
same. Oh, so Gus Fring is in another
no,
Spike Lee movie. Okay. I
yeah, I'm
looked it
sure he's
up,
in a
but I
different
always get
movie.
the names confused. I just remember that scene.
But yes, I mean Spike Lee was the fact that he was called to direct, the MJ commercials. That was basically the first time that hip hop and basketball culture interceded. You know what I mean? And that's pretty groundbreaking. You don't see things like that as much today, but obviously MJ laid the way for that. Um, and the difference between LeBron and MJ, like I think LeBron, you could say arguably is more outspoken when it comes to being woke or like talking about political things. Like he's spoken on the whole China thing. He's spoken on a lot of different controversies within the NBA. So
Most
if you're going to
definitely.
compare legacies, I would definitely say that LeBron definitely puts himself out there more than Michael. So you got to give him some credit for that if you're going to do a comparison.
Yeah, Michael's just kind of like he kind of kept to himself and just, want to just focus on what he was doing and keep it moving.
Well, his most famous line that they touched upon was that he said, Republicans buy sneakers too. So he's basically alluding to the fact that he didn't. So basically, the black community in North Carolina at the time, they wanted him to endorse their Democratic candidate. His name was Harvey Gantt against the other candidate. And Michael basically didn't want to endorse him because he didn't want to offend, Republicans or the other side of his fan base that bought his shoes. So that was kind of where that initially that issue came to be was during that time.
Yeah. And what's next? So you got notes. I don't have any notes. What else do you want to talk about?
What about the Kukoc? So they showed in the Olympics when they were playing against Croatia. So Tony Kukoc was the guy that Jerry Krause was, you know, the European talent that he wanted to bring. They drafted him the year before the Olympics, but he played. He was making more money in Europe basically before coming to the Bulls, so he wasn't ready to come over yet. But basically, they didn't want to pay Scottie Pippen, or they were putting it off because they wanted to negotiate the Kukoc contract before he came over. So Scottie and Michael, to show that they were better than him, and like why is Jerry Krause doing this? They basically punked him at the Olympics and picked him up 94 feet throughout the whole game against Croatia, shut him down. But Tony Kukoc showed that he was tough. He could take it. They ended up playing in the gold medal game, and he had a much better game the second time around. He didn't back down. So that kind of showed them he earned their respect through the Olympics. And that was a great moment, for international basketball and as well as USA basketball that we could bring back the gold because that was the first time that the Dream Team was assembled. Usually before that, it was college players playing in the Olympics.
How good
So
was
that kind of
Kukoc like on the Bulls? He was a
he was
starter,
good.
right?
Oh yeah,
He's a
yeah, yeah. He
starter.
was he was really good. He could shoot three. He was like one of the first, European successful players in the league. If you think about it, he was a point forward. He can shoot threes. He was very versatile. Could run the point forward position in the triangle offense. So he definitely helped them win.
Dang, yeah, and then wasn't Luke Longley on the team? But was he ever
Yeah,
in
he's
the?
from Australia.
Oh, did he make a brief appearance in the early episodes? I think he
I
did.
don't
It
know.
was
It
brief though.
wasn't that significant.
Okay. Cause they're talking about all these centers and big men, and I'm like, I don't know why. I thought Luke Longley was a big part of this run. I don't know.
I mean, he was the starting center, so I mean, there's that. But I don't think he was doing that much. The center wasn't a big part. Like if you look at the triangle, like I've been watching the detail episodes of it, like yeah, the center position doesn't matter in that offense that much. It's
But
basically
then Phil went to L.A. and then Shaq scored a ton of points. He was a big part.
yeah, but I don't think they ran the triangle as much as they did, on the Bulls. I'm sure they had a lot of like packages where it was get the ball to
Got
Shaq.
you. They're
you
like,
know what I mean?
yeah, Shaq's too good. We just gotta feed him down low.
Yeah, they did a modified version of the triangle, I'm sure.
Got you. All right, what's next?
But it worked. I mean, when you watch how it works, it's very good. Like Rodman, he was able to succeed in it because he knew his role, and he was able to use his skills effectively to make the system work. Episode 6 was about the fame that came. There was a lot of cameos. There was Jerry Rice made a cameo, Spike Lee, Gary Sinise, Seinfeld. They show Seinfeld. They had the hottest show. All the guys on the Bulls, like Bill Wennington, they all watch Seinfeld, and so it shows him in their locker room at Madison Square Garden, and then he sees the plays on the board, and he's like, "Oh, this play's not going to work." He's just basically having fun. But the whole point of that episode 6 was basically showing how Michael's fame and celebrity was starting to wear on him. Like he shows him on the couch with a cigar, and he's like, man, like he's at the height of his fame, like the best basketball player in the world, but you could tell he's just tired from people always being around him, like grabbing his time. They were showing him before every game, he would spend at least a couple minutes with terminally ill children before every game. And then after the game, he'd be swarmed by media. When he gets to the hotel, he'd be swarmed by people. So it was just a constant, just like
Yeah, it
circus
was
everywhere he went.
intense. Yeah, that was super intense. And it's kind of how I put it. Like right now, everyone can be like slightly famous, or little famous, or Insta famous, or TikTok famous. And I mean, back then, there was really like MJ, and a few other
That's
people,
it.
and it's like celebrities.
Eddie Murphy.
So yeah, yeah. Eddie Murphy with his SNL. Then he made a few movies, and yeah, I mean, it was when you're a celebrity that big, it's larger than life, and it's just different because now it's like there's so many people, as underground rappers and people on social media and YouTube stars, and there's just a ton of people. And no, it was MJ was that big.
Yeah, that like imagine if he was playing during the time of social media, how much he would have hated it. It would have been even worse.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think he was built for that. And now now that there is social media, he's like, yeah, I'm cool with the Jordan meme, but me and you both know, like deep down, like he's just got to say that because uh,
yeah, he hates it. He still hates it.
yeah, if that's like the number one rule, especially on social media. I mean, even like if you're in high school or something, but social media, you get attacked by like a million people. If you let them know like something bugs you, like the trolls won't
Oh yeah.
ever stop. Like the memes will never stop. It'll be months and months of constant harassment, like, and so you just got to be like, oh, okay, that doesn't bother me, but deep down inside, you're dying, which is okay. If someone's asking
I get.
where can they
He
find
must have hated it, yeah.
where can they find the old episodes? I just said ESPN. I mean, I'm sure it's not hard to
Yeah,
find, right?
ESPN. So it's good. It's on ESPN, but then once all the episodes airs, Netflix actually bought the rights, the
That's
streaming
right. That's
rights.
right. Good thing
So
I asked
it'll
you.
be on Netflix after once all the episodes are shown. So that's great.
Okay.
Yeah. What else did they talk? I mean, the sixth episode. Yeah, there was a lot of books that were coming out around this time. So they were down in the Eastern Conference Finals 2-0, right, against the New York Knicks, who had Patrick Ewing, They had John Starks. They had Anthony Mason. So they were, up and coming team that could contend for the championship. And they were up 2-0 against Michael Jordan and the Bulls. All right. So what Michael Jordan does, which raises some red flags, is he goes to Atlantic City after the two games and goes to Bally's and he gambles for, I think, a night. And so, but people see him gambling. So then it becomes like a story like, hey, does Michael Jordan have a gambling problem? And the reason why that even gets brought up, they mention, is because he was caught with like this very notorious gambler. His name was Slim Boer, which is definitely a sketchy
Well, the
character.
character for sure. This character.
So when they beat the Pistons the year before in the championship, Michael Jordan, he misses the White House visit, right? So the reason why he missed the White House visit, which they talk about, is because he was playing cards, golfing, and gambling with this guy, Slim Boer. And then he gets arrested for something, and then they find out that Michael Jordan wrote a check to this guy for $57,000. And Michael at the time says it was a loan that he was repaying. But then when they take him to court and they dispose him, he says it was actually a gambling debt that he had to repay. And he was just embarrassed to say like the real reason. But since he was under oath or whatever, like he had to say why he paid him.
If you
So that
read
kind of opens it up.
if you read in between the lines, even though he said he doesn't have a gambling problem, I mean, just without having previous knowledge or any bias, if you just look at it, so right now we don't see any really really big money, because $57,000 to him is significant, but it ain't like screaming like situation critical type of money. But if you read in between the lines, he's very competitive. He loves to gamble. And what do competitive people do, with those two things? And if you're like the most competitive person in the whole world, once you lose, let's say you lose 1,000 or 10,000 at golf, what's an average like a somewhat competitive person's what they gonna say, Mike? After that,
Let's play again.
let's play again.
And they're just gonna keep digging a hole.
And what Michael Jordan does is this man will play 7 days, 3 days straight like that because he's on another level. Like, I mean, it's like a sickness, but that's why he's so damn good. But yeah, I mean, that's it. If you read in between the lines, no, not having any, just trying to look at it objectively from just those few minutes we saw about Slim and the the blackjack and the poker and the competitiveness and what MJ said. Yeah, he liked to gamble. And so having a problem, that's kind of like, do you have a problem? Are you addicted? That's those are just words to describe it. I'm not gonna totally judge that. I mean, I think he did have a problem just because what we've always been hearing with the rumors and stuff, and what we think we're about to see in episode 7 possibly coming up.
During this time is pretty interesting because at this time, Michael Jordan has like a pristine reputation, in the eyes of the mainstream public. But there's books that come out. The first notable book was The Jordan Rules by author Sam Smith. And basically Sam Smith had some intel from teammates or coaches within the Bulls that, no one knows for sure. Some people thought it might have been Horace Grant. B.J. Armstrong said it had to have been other people as well.
A coalition of snitches.
Yeah, a coalition of snitches that basically were telling him that Michael Jordan's a bully. He's punching people in practice. So it kind of like tore down that reputation a little bit, his golden boy reputation, and exposed a more sinister side of Jordan that the mainstream public has not yet heard of, right?
He's a bit of an a-hole. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, that's basically what's happening. So that's one book, right? And then another book comes out about him straight up gambling. It's like Michael and Me gambling.
Bro, that cover, I'm about to try to pull that cover and that title was so awful.
Yeah, so this guy, Richard Esquinas, I guess he's some sort of friend of Michael, but he talks about how they play cards all day, they golf all day, and at one point in the book, he mentions how Michael owed him $1.3 million from gambling, cards, and golf. So, and then he writes a book about it. So that just shows like the kind of tip of the iceberg is starting to form of this problem. But Michael can, he can overcome this. Like it doesn't affect his play because he wins championships against the Phoenix Suns, which they show. It doesn't affect him at all. There's a Connie Chang interview. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Where Connie Chung,
Yeah,
excuse
Connie
me.
Chan.
So she's interviewing like, "Do you have a problem, Michael?" He's like, "No, I don't have a gambling problem, but I have a competitive problem." And then there's another interview with Ahmad Rashad where he's wearing sunglasses, so it's kind of sketchy. Like, why are you wearing? What are you hiding? Like, why are you wearing sunglasses in an interview? Which didn't help his image during the time. So yeah, all this is coming. His fame, the pressure of winning, the gambling, it's all coming into a big head. So how he deals with it is really, what's amazing because he still manages to just rise above and will his team to championships during all this turmoil.
I'm gonna add a slight point to this, a very, very small tidbit. When I was watching the Dream Team and Bad Boy Pistons documentaries a few years ago, they were saying with Chuck Daly, the coach of the Pistons and coach of the Dream Team, him and Michael in Europe, I assume it was Barcelona.
Spain.
They were
they
playing
would
golf. He would wake up 5 a.m. whatever, and they play golf for hours and hours and hours and just wouldn't stop. And so he would get little to no sleep, and then go and still whoop all the international Olympic players to just destroy him. So he was just that good. But that's kind of, if you're in the Olympics, you're not even sleeping just to play golf and gamble and whatnot. That's, I don't know, it's pretty crazy. So that does add that, certain type of side. He cannot turn off this competitiveness.
Yes, that's my biggest takeaway. Like he has a competitive fire that is just burning inside him at all times. And Magic says like, Michael, it wasn't enough for him to just beat you at something. He had to step on your neck and kill you, like humiliate you. Like he wouldn't just take a win. Like he had to humiliate the people that he played against, which I'm sure would just rub people the wrong way, but that's kind of what made him great.
And supposedly that's why he didn't want to show the Reebok symbol, just because how competitive he is. Oh, that's his, that's his brand, that's his partnership. And so I'm not showing the Reebok symbol, so I'm going to findangle my way out of this by putting an American flag over the Reebok symbol. It's like one of those corny movies where they're like, hit the brake, and then the dude like pulls the lever and the lever's broken and it's like in his hand. That's Jordan's competitive switch. He can never shut it off. It's just non-existent. He's 24/7, whether it be the Nike, whether it be golf, whether it be $1 blackjack. It was always on. So I'm thinking episode 7, they may talk about the big one, the conspiracy we're talking about.
Yeah, it's one thing. I mean, his pettiness level was at 100 for sure. Competitiveness and pettiness was at an all-time high at this time. And, I was just thinking, like, there's so many stars, like legends that would have won a title. Like Charles Barkley probably would have won. Stockton
Patrick
Malone,
Ewing, one of my favorite players, probably would have got one championship.
Patrick Ewing, Reggie Miller, they all would have won if it wasn't for Michael Jordan. Yeah, so it's amazing his competitiveness, was able to deny many Hall of Fame players a championship.
Yeah, that's 6 rings, right? So you gotta, let's just say, out of those 6 rings, four different teams would have won. Let's just say. And that's yeah, they kind of blocked that from happening. By the way, I got the book. There's like no images of this thing, but I found one like crappy image for those of you that are looking at this book and just may not remember, because I'm a graphic designer, so it's like it's entrenched in my head how bad it is. The text, if you can kind of see, is gold. So it's gold text, Michael and me, pretty bad font. And it's 2 guys that just they look awkward together on a really cheap golf course cover, a golf course, And I don't know if that's even a golf course to me. I think it's just maybe they putt there for practice, but that doesn't even look like a golf course. It's so bad, and that's the book right there.
Imagine owing that guy $1.3 million.
Wait, who owed? Oh, my MJ owed this guy 1.3 million.
Yeah.
Now that's real money. Okay, by the way, that's a
Yeah,
lot.
that's real money.
So that
even for that time.
oh no, that's a lot for even Michael Jordan. That's a lot. Yes. Oh man.
So he's like, he probably was like, yeah, you can print this book, but you got to cut the debt in half at least. I'm sure there was some sort of agreement made because this book should not have been published under any circumstances.
It's so bad. So what is do you think they did they take this photo for the book, or was this a photo? I think this was a photo they had.
This is a photo.
This is
like,
just a normal photo they had, and he used
it. Put it on the cover.
He's like, it's the only photo I have with.
It's the only photo I got.
With like,
on a disposable camera. Yeah, they probably just took it.
It's so ugly because it's like, it's a Mike. Can I get a picture? He's like, okay. And then dude uses it for the cover. Our gambling addiction, my cry for help. That's what it says right under.
I gotta buy this book. How much is this book?
I don't know. It's on Amazon. Oh, it's on Amazon for $45.
Whoa, that's like an artifact.
Yeah, it's not. It's like when I bought some underground albums back in the days. I mean, they're out of print, so it's like sometimes they're worth a ton of money because they don't print them no more. They print it out 1,000 or 10,000, and that's it. You know, that label doesn't exist. I don't know who. Bro,
there's like one left.
It's so ugly. Michael and me are gambling addiction. ... My cry for help in gold foil text.
See, the fact that that book is even out there shows how far the gambling problem went. You know what I mean? Because like, you have to be in a pretty deep hole for something like that to come out. You're not just messing around with a couple $100. Like, this is serious money.
Yeah, and I think. So there was a comment left on our YouTube that said that the guy watched the leaked episodes up to episode 8, and he said, "You guys won't be disappointed." And so
because I've been disappointed so far.
I knew that he was, I believe him, and I knew he was hinting at what we talked about, you know, throughout all these podcasts we've been doing. Was that our big conspiracy? The ones where, you know, people are just calling us clowns. And by the way, that never went away. You know how some trends go away? The clown calling never went away. Every day there's a clown, and there's like followed by like 14 clown emojis. And it's like,
wow,
that's gonna still. So people will call us clowns and stuff. And
I feel like Joe Pesci and Goodfellas. Like, you think I'm funny? What was that?
Well, we'll see.
That line he says, "I'm a clown to you."
Is that when he shoots the kid?
Yeah, he shoots the kid.
I felt so bad for that kid, but knowing watching all those Michael Francis interviews and stuff, and Goodfellas was a pretty good movie as far as it not being BS as well. But
no, it's accurate, pretty accurate.
But you can't. It's one of the rules. You can never talk again. And in Donnie Darko, they say it in the beginning. They go over a lot of the rules. No, you can't. Yeah. You can't talk against a made man. You can't say F you to a made man. And so the kid in the movie said F you, but everyone reacted like, what are you doing to the kid? You know, they were like, oh, but as that kid, it is a rule. You'll never, ever supposed to say that to a made man. And if you say that to someone higher rank, it better be behind closed doors and never say it in public. The kid, there's a lot of people there. He said that. And then Joe Pesci, bang.
Joe Pesci's like, he's the most gangster mob actor, character. He's like in all of them.
He's
all the classics. He plays the same role too. It's amazing.
By the way, guys, if you're tuning in, we're doing a Goodfellas and Irishman review of Netflix. But it's cool for people that haven't seen this doc. We're doing The Last Dance. Do you think it's going to be on Netflix right after, or?
I think so. Maybe like a week after, because that's just usually how these deals work. But yeah, there's also a part where MJ's getting fed up with the media, so ironically he lets his dad start to answer the media questions. You remember that part?
Well, I don't. I missed the last.
It's okay. It wasn't in the end, but yeah, it was like he was just. There was a point where he's just like the media keeps asking the same questions, so he's just like, yeah, have my dad answer. So I don't know if they were like alluding to something later on, but
It's like a
felt like
Marshawn
that was
Lynch.
foreshadowing. Yeah, kind of.
In a way. No, yeah, we see a lot. Like I feel like it's gonna happen. I feel like they're gonna
They
talk
keep
about it.
dancing around the topic, but they
Yeah,
don't want to like address it directly.
they go like this. His dad. They go like this. He likes to gamble.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
oh.
yeah.
But oh, so
The
what's so
problem.
we're gonna so no, we don't know how much they're gonna talk to it, but it's coming up here because I'm just starting to get the format of the documentary. They're doing kind of like they're going back and forth, but then the old footage. So the I think I'll break it up into three parts. So one is the present interviews, pretty much with you see MJ with the cigar, Phil Jackson in front of a
Mm-hmm.
house or something. We saw Kobe. Those are all modern. You can tell by the cameras too, very modern cameras. And then you have the '96 Bulls, and then that's another timeline. And then we're on the old timeline, which we saw with the cocaine circus, the draft, Jerry Krause. That's the old timeline mainly. And
Yeah,
now we're
they do a lot of jumping around.
yeah, but it's three timelines though, basically. And
Okay,
you see
I
what
get
I
what you're
mean?
saying.
But the
Yeah,
last one's the one
yeah.
that's moving the fastest. Because we did the Pistons.
Okay.
Now we're at the Pistons are over. We did the Dream Team, and before it
Mm.
was just Michael Jordan getting drafted and a show. So now in the timeline, we're right before the retire. I gotta put it in quotes.
Oh yeah,
Retirement.
yeah, 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 yeah,
So
yeah.
in the
The
timeline,
first
we're
retirement.
right up to this retirement, this sudden conspiracy retirement. This is, let's just say, to be technical, this suspicious retirement that came, and then Michael Jordan played baseball and his father's death. All that is coming up in that third timeline I mentioned. It's right here because they just beat the Knicks. It's right there.
Right.
This is 1993. We're
No,
coming up to
they just
94.
beat
Oh, they
the
beat the Suns.
Suns
Sorry,
in the championship.
they
Yeah,
beat the
yeah.
Knicks, and then they beat the Suns, and we're right
Right.
here
93.
in 93, 94, and that's where we're gonna see episode 7 and enter that year 93, 94.
So the final scene in the episode 6, you see Michael Jordan in his red Range Rover, which is pretty cool. Has custom license plate that says 2-3 tinted windows. He's talking to Ahmad Rashad, and they're basically talking about like how they're gonna go out. So Michael says Patrick Ewing, he says that he doesn't want to go out, like he wants to get carried off the floor, basically. Like he wants to play till he has nothing left in the tank. And Michael Jordan's, his mindset's the other way. He wants to leave while he's on top. So that kind of shows his mentality at the time during right before he retires, I guess. So I don't know if they're gonna kind of use that as foreshadowing, but I'm sure they will.
Yeah, and Michael Jordan, I think, and we could look it up. I think he's 30, 31, right before this his age, right before this retirement.
Okay,
I think.
I think that makes
Because
sense.
I'm
Yeah.
just, age is a big thing when you're talking about retirement and what's he gonna do in the '96 Bulls, and was he in his prime and this and that. Michael Jordan birthday
How old is LeBron right now? 35?
something,
Just to compare, like right now.
yeah, something like
I think
that.
he's about 35.
Or
Yeah.
34. LeBron James is
Or
35.
maybe 30, 35. Okay.
So
So that just shows like he's 4 years older than Michael's first retirement right now.
So right now in the timeline that I'm talking about, in 1993, Michael Jordan is 30 years old. He was born early 63. So Michael Jordan was born in 1963. Right now we're at 1993. Retirement,
30
I
years.
think, comes around 1994. And so, when you're literally in your prime, 30-year-old, yeah, that's what the retirement is.
But you could also argue like after 3 consecutive, because another important thing to take note is that they were only the third team ever at this time to win 3 consecutive championships. So that has to wear on you. You know what I mean? From a physical and psychological standpoint. So I think, he might have needed a break as well. So that could have also been part of his like.
Yes, he
He
did the
just wanted
Olympics
to
in
get away.
'92,
Yeah.
and then he
Right.
did all that. So to be fair,
Yeah. It's just to be
that is there,
fair.
and the media is
Exactly.
all in his. A lot happened. A lot did happen. Like the most possible could happen to any athlete, really. You played the most
Yeah.
amount of games, including the Olympics, 3 championships. Your father died, so there is a lot, and you're also gambling a lot, especially at the
And you're
golf
also
course.
filming Space Jam. So at some point during this hiatus,
Okay, so if
you're
all
filming
sports is
Space Jam.
canceled for some reason, we're doing a Space Jam 2 review. Jerry,
Can't wait.
dude, is Jerry Krause alive?
No, he's not.
He's not.
Yeah.
Damn it, we can't have him on the podcast. Tui.
No, he's not. I know. That would have been a good one. Yeah, rest in peace, Jerry Krause.
Oh man, yeah. He's so popular
one.
after this too. We couldn't have got him, but otherwise we could have. Like, you never know.
We might be able to get Kukoc. I don't know what he's doing, but
Yeah, Kukoc. As long as he's got
might be
fast
available.
internet, he can he can hop on. Yeah, we can get Kukoc. That would be sick.
Yeah, Kukoc was the man back in the day. But I think we covered pretty much a lot of it. Was there anything else that you saw that I might have missed?
No, they're talking about make sure you guys check out Alex Smith's documentary. They said it's not.
Oh I couldn't watch, dude. So I tried to watch this, and then it got to like where he got hit, and I almost threw up. I couldn't watch it. It's just too much. Like, I can only watch it like short periods at a time. It's very hard, very difficult. His leg looks disgusting.
So you were legitimately watching it, but you couldn't anymore. You just
So I saw
it.
like a preview, like I saw like a section of it, like on YouTube, and then I started trying to watch the entire thing from the beginning, and I couldn't get through. It just was too sickening for me. Like when he gets hit.
It's kind of crazy how that was brought up because I have this saved here. Let me read this for everybody here. Okay. It's scary how Joe Theismann and Alex Smith's injuries were so similar.
Same day.
And no. There's a list. This is an infographic.
Okay,
this is crazy.
This is good.
Joe Theismann, November 18th, 1985. It happened. Alex Smith, November 18th, 2018.
Oh my God.
Theismann was at the game when Smith broke his leg. Both QBs were. Yeah, he was in the booth. What do they call that?
Oh my God, this is sick.
What are they?
The commentator booth?
No. Just where the rich people sit. You got there a couple times.
Box.
The
box. Yeah, the box. The luxury
suites. Yeah.
Okay.
Theismann was at the game when Smith broke his leg. Both QBs were playing for the Redskins when their legs were broken. Both QBs broke their right tibia and fibula.
No.
Both.
Are you serious? The same injury?
Both breaks happened in Washington. Both games ended in the same score, 23-21. Both injuries happened near the 40-yard line. Wait, and then I didn't actually, you know me, I don't like to read. I didn't get this far, so I'll just read this and hope it's nothing weird. Lawrence Taylor and J.J. Watt are the only two people to win Defensive Player of the Year 3 times. Taylor tackled Theismann and Watt sacked Smith. That's it. That's pretty insane. That a 3-time defensive MVP, defensive player of the year.
Oh my, that's just took it to a new
I
level.
didn't know it was Watt.
The scores were the same.
I didn't even remember it being Watt. I know that's crazy.
Yeah, it was.
I know everyone knows LT did. Yeah. Lawrence Taylor did the first one. I didn't even know. I forgot it was Watt. I remember watching this game live. Like. That's the thing. Theismann's Pro Bowl left tackle, Joe Jacoby, wasn't on the field due to injury. No, look at this one, Mike. Smith's Pro Bowl left tackle, Trent Williams, wasn't on the field due to injury. Trent Williams, 49ers left tackle now.
Oh, my God. New 49ers left tackle.
And one more.
No.
Both quarterbacks were playing against red, white, and blue jerseys.
Why? Well, who are they playing against?
Well, Lawrence Taylor,
Oh yeah,
Giants and
Texans,
Texans, red,
and
white,
Giants.
blue.
Oh my dude, that's too much for me,
That's
dude.
so
That's
weird how
like,
this guy brought it up in the chat, and I totally like I remembered I found this. It was so cool. I was like, let me save
and I
this.
just watched it today too. I was
Oh,
just
for real, it
watching
was
it today.
today. Damn,
Yeah, yeah.
bro. Holy
This is
crap.
weird. This is
I mean,
weird,
I'm
dude.
assuming that injury isn't that popular, and
It's
also to a quarterback, it's just like, wow.
There's too many things like that. Just shows like things aren't a coincidence.
And
Like there's
then when I say like the Redskins are cursed, some people still doubt me. Like, what is this? Bro, what is just the Trent Williams situation alone is like
yes,
pretty crazy how the dude had a tumor or his helmet didn't fit and he hated the owner and they couldn't. Just that alone is pretty bad for a franchise. You can't get
yeah.
one of the best left tackles on the freaking field, no matter how much he said it's not about the money. I'll never play for you guys. And he proved, and you know,
That's
some people
easy.
do it in bluff. This guy really didn't. He didn't play. He's been just chilling. And then I mean that's just one. And out of this, that's just one little thing. And that's crazy how he brought it up. That's a lot of things. This Royal says proof that we live in a simulation. This was obviously
I'm starting to believe
this
it,
was
bro.
this was
I'm starting to believe it.
an error when someone copy pasted some lines of code on accident. You know, you copy paste a little too much, you get a little lazy, you don't look at the code. It's late at
But you
night.
already ran that code. It's 2018. You can't run the same exact code. People are gonna know.
What are you doing, you idiot? I told you. He's like, I ran out of Doritos and Red Bull. I can't be doing this all.
Did you see his leg though? Like, there's a scene where it shows his leg with like full of the.
No, I didn't watch this. You mean in the doc? I didn't watch the doc.
His leg looks like Adam Sandler's foot when it becomes black in that one movie.
Where he's like rich
Mr.
and poor or
Deeds.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, like Mr. Deeds, and he has like his foot's like frostbite bitten, and it's just dead. That's what it looks like. His whole leg looked like that. I was like, oh
you
god,
for
I'm
real?
gonna throw up, dude. Yes,
It was like black.
disgusting. I don't know. Yes.
Oh.
It was like it was disturbing.
Oh, that's gross.
Yeah. The whole like from the knee down.
Like the first time I
so
tried to
bad.
barbecue in college. Oh.
Yeah, it was bad, bro. And then I'm like, he wants to play again? No, like you shouldn't ever play again. I don't think. Even if he's healthy, you just take it as a loss. Just walk away. His wife's beautiful. You know, just end it.
So you had a good career, and he
lots of money.
He cashed out. Yeah, I signed a couple contracts. I signed a good one with the Niners, and then second contract. I don't know. That was
it was a big contract.
I mean, he's
the Chiefs contract.
He's the same. He's around the same age as Rodgers, I'm sure. So, he's around 34, 35, so maybe somewhere around there. So I'm sure he signed 3 contracts. I mean, it is what it is, man. I mean, it's good. Can he? I'm assuming he can walk all right now and everything, or.
I don't know. I couldn't get that far. But if he's thinking about playing, I'm sure he thinks that he's fine now, or he is at least to a level where he can move around well.
What's funny is just because of like how we do this, like we get a lot of views on YouTube about the specifically the Last Dance, but I think our subscribers, people that regularly listen, they do their best to sway the conversation to football, which is fine. And I'm really busy right now doing this Madden League. It's pretty intense. It's pretty crazy. I got my PlayStation plugged in to the tower, right? I unplug it to set up my camera for the pod. My camera doesn't work, so that's why I'm on the stupid webcam right now. This is the first time Mike can actually see me, which is cool.
Weird.
I might have to just use the webcam, bro, from now on, because
the
quality is decent.
Yeah, I think it's good.
And
you
you
feel
can
like
see,
I'm talking to someone.
Yeah, it's harder for you. It's easier for you to connect, like it's a real conversation. So no, I can just find a play. I can move it up here or something. Whatever.
Nice.
So it's a bet. Right now, I just have it chilling on my PS4.
It's a blessing in disguise, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's a really good webcam. The audio sucks, but I have my mic hooked up, so the audio doesn't matter.
It's fine.
Yeah,
Sounds great.
it's yeah, I got the microphone, so I'm not using the audio from the webcam. Yeah, it's pretty good. So for those of you that don't know, we did a fantasy draft, 12 team on Sleeper, and we're gonna import those players in Madden, do single elimination tournament head to head and simulate the games, and then me and Mike's gonna play the championship games, each representing a team, and just play it out regularly on Madden. And it's been a lot of fun. It's one of the dopest group chats I'm in. So I told everyone, hey, you got to be in the Facebook group to be in. And now, unfortunately, not everyone gets it, but the people in the chat get it. Like, I have to be able to communicate to you guys because this has never been done before. Like, there's so many questions. Like, every day I got a question or they got a question. Like, we have to be able to communicate easily. Like, on YouTube, there's no way to do that. There's no, like, message board or anything. Like, you just can't do it. So it's been a great group chat, and we're right now we're getting ready. I got some more content on the way, and I want to do some more Dynasty content. But we're gonna get ready to simulate the games and play it out. And I know this second video is gonna be lit. I know it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, I saw. We did a test run of it, and the footage looks amazing. I'm just really happy from a technological perspective that it looks like we're going to be able to pull it off, which is an amazing feat. I've been training, but Madden's a very difficult game. There's so many nuances that it's going to be hard no matter what.
Yeah, but me and you are both not that good, and even though I'm better than you, I'm not that much better than you. And so
right, it's doable.
Let's say if I didn't play for a week and you studied up like real hard for a week, you probably beat me. And so I'm just saying, like, no matter who takes who's, like, no matter who who's representing each side, like, you're gonna have a shot to win it. And I think that's what's cool. Like, if I was like a pro player and you were a noob, that wouldn't be that's stupid. Like, you got to give the guy a shot to win. Like, so me and you, we played 3 times. I beat you twice. So, I mean, it's not, so you beat me pretty bad the second time. I put up 0 points. You shut me out.
I have a lot of weaknesses.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely.
A lot of weaknesses.
And I'm just saying, because we're not like, our pride's not in Madden, we'll put it like this. So I'm okay with admitting if I suck or not. I think I'm better, but not by much. Definitely. I'd say you're the underdog, but you can easily win. Like, it's not, it's all marbles on one game. And plus, we're going to be representing a team that we've never played with. So It's going to be, like, that's who knows?
True. There's a lot of variables.
Yeah, like, maybe I'll destroy you every time if I play with Rodgers. But then, maybe if I'm, another quarterback, I'm going to suck. And so I don't even know the team I'm playing with. I'm sure both teams will be good because they'll win the Sims, but you just never know. Like, you never know our playing styles and the play calling and everything. Like, it's a
hard game.
What?
There's a lot of nuances. Oh. Like, I'm trying to look at all these different strategies, but it's really
it's never ending. So first is
never
a lot of basic footballs and reads, and then you get into okay, which play is overpowering, or which play is semi glitchy, or if I use Russell Wilson or this, can I run around and do what's a little bit.
Right.
So I don't think me and you are at that point yet where we could expose Madden good. We're still kind of learning the basics. But we've been we've been playing for a while.
It's just amazing how deep and complex this game can get. Like, the layers of complexity.
So when I played semi-professionally 15 years ago and competed, I'd be playing on average about 7 hours a day. 8.
Oh my
God. And that was Madden 05 in the year 2014. That was 16 years ago. Game is there's way more stuff now. No, but then they had a lot of it, but it was there was no updates, you know what I mean? They didn't update the game, they didn't update glitches, there was none of that. It was a disc, on the PS2. And now they're updating it more. There's a lot more football nuances in there and a lot less glitches. And so it's advanced. But I'm saying even then, playing 8 hours a day really isn't enough to be on top of your game, like to be a top 1,000 or top 100 player, or even top like 10,000 or even 50,000 player. Yeah, you got to really play at least 8 hours a day, full-time job, maybe even 12 hours a day. And that's what I was doing. I was playing 7-8 hours a day. I started out with the Titans, Steve McNair, RIP, and I was really good. And I got really far in the Madden Challenge tournament. I got to top 16 in San Francisco. And the guy who won that challenge won the whole thing. He won $50,000, which back then 50,000 was a lot more. And when I was super poor, so like to me, it was like the lottery if I were to somehow win. But I got scraped too, bro. Like there was the 21 skunk rule, and I almost hit it. Somehow I scored one touch. I got whooped like 41-6 or something. But I got far. And then yeah, man, I had to just take a back seat and concentrate on what I was doing and make a living. And Madden, I was only making like I only profited like $50 my whole Madden career. So nah, it was time to move on. But it's fun. It's fun to kind of revisit that a little bit. Are you there, Mike? Mike has left the call. Okay, we'll try to get Mike back on to say peace. But I think we're done with this anyway. Guys, make sure you're subscribed to both YouTube channels. I gotta turn Mike off because it's just me now. Make sure you subscribe to both YouTube channels, Fantasy Couch and Fantasy Couch Podcast. Leave a review. It really helps out, guys. Times are really tough right now. Not asking for money or anything, but if you just subscribe to both our YouTube channels, if you leave a review on any of the podcast platforms like Apple, Google, Stitcher, Spotify, that really helps out a lot. Don't spam or anything, just leave a genuine comment, give us some stars. That really helps out. So yeah, it's basically only thing I got going on right now as far as income. So really help support, and I really appreciate you guys. We will be hopping on to do more football content, and might as well. We got 2 more of these Last Dance reviews, and we're going to be doing it. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Peace out.